Hello my people, welcome to another tutorial. My name is Agnes. In today's tutorial I will show you how to crochet this cardigan. It's very long, I love it like that. In the tutorial I will be making a size medium large, which is what I'm wearing, but actually in real I'm a size extra small stroke small, so yeah, you can always make adjustments for that. It's quite easy. It's double crochet, a treble and a single crochet stitches, so it's easy to recreate, and I'll be telling you how to take your measurements so that you can make this in any size and make any adjustments that you like. I have a written pattern available in sizes extra small till 5x, so in case you're interested in that, I'm going to leave the links in the description box and in the pinned comments. It's available on Etsy and on my other online shops, so we are just going to get straight into it. For the yarn, I'm using this yarn from Durable Yarns. It's called Durable Extra Cozy Fine. It is 50 grams and 180 meters is each skein. I used 17 balls for this. It is a mixture of acrylic and cotton, size 2 or sport yarn. Yeah, you can use any other sport yarn that you like. It is color ocean, and you can visit them on durableyarn.com for any free patterns, locations of their shops, and websites of where you can buy the yarn. For the hook size, I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. It recommends a 3 to 3.5, so I'm going with a 3.5 millimeter hook. You can use whatever is recommended by your yarn size, but I advise that you don't go beyond a size 3 yarn, otherwise it gets too heavy. You're also going to need a tape measure to take your measurements. You need darning needle and you need stitch markers. This is how we're going to work this cardigan. We start with the back panel. We are starting at the bottom chain, and then we work this pattern all the way to the height that you want your cardigan to be. This is like super long, and then we'll do 2 panels for the front, also starting at the bottom, exactly the same pattern as the back, same rows. And then once we are done with that, we do the sleeves. Mine are long, so I fold them like, you know, this part I fold it. So 2 sleeves, which are also rectangles, and then once we have that, we join all the 5 panels together. And then once we have that, we are going to work this ribbing, which is like a neat kind of ribbing separately, a very long one. And then once we have it, then we just sew it on with our darning needle, and that's it. All right, for the back measurements, you're going to take your tape measure and you're going to measure from one tip of your shoulder to the other tip of your shoulder. Mine is 15 inches long from one side to the other side, and you're going to add 10 inches to that. So that is, if I was doing an extra small stroke small, I would do 15 plus 10, that's 25. But I'm doing a medium stroke large, so it's about 16 standard measurements. So 16 plus 10, that's 26 as our foundation chain. And then for the length, you'll take from down here all the way to where you want your cardigan to reach. And for the sleeves, you're going to take the biggest part of your arm. You measure the biggest part of your arm, and then you add 4 inches to that. Okay, mine is 10, so 10 plus 4, that's 14. What else? The length of the arm, since a cardigan is oversized, our sleeve starts about here. So for the length of your sleeve, starts from the biceps, so you measure from the biceps all the way to where you want it to reach. All right, so that's how we take the measurements for this. You know how to take the measurements. This is how we'll construct the cardigan. First, we'll start with the back panel, which is one rectangle. So this is back panel, and like I said, from A to B, which is like your foundation chain, is going to be shoulder measurements plus 10. Okay, so this is for oversize. If you want it less oversized, then you reduce this number of inches here. Okay, instead of plus 10, you can do plus 5, plus 6, plus 8, depending on how wide you want it to be. All right, and then once you have the back panel, the length, let's say this is AB, let's say the length is AC, that is up to you. And then once you have that, then we'll do the front panels. The front panels are going to be, we are only leaving 5 inches for our neckline. Okay, so neckline is 5 inches. So whatever you have here, subtract 5 inches, and the remainder will be for our 2 panels. So let's say here I have 26, right? 26 minus 5, yeah, that leaves me with 19, right? No, 21. Okay, 21. So 21 divided by 2, that leaves me with 10.5. Why is my math off today? 10.5 inches. So each side will be 10.5, and this other side will be also 10.5. But you have to keep in mind how we start our pattern. So make sure your stitches are an odd number when you're starting your rows. Okay, so gives you the back. Okay, and then for the sleeves, we will make the sleeves mine like this. We'll make them on the side, but when we're attaching them, this is how we attach them, right? So they are a bit reducing, so you can also change how much you reduce. I reduce after every 5 rows, but if you want it tighter, you can reduce after every 3 or 4 rows, depends on your preference. So our sleeves will be our biceps circumference, sleeves, biceps circumference, is that how it's written? I don't know, I don't care. Plus 4 inches. Okay, so you can also reduce how wide you want this to be. You can say plus only 3 or plus only 2 if you like tighter ones, but I think that the big one, since we are making an oversize, it's better like that. All right, so the length I already showed you. So yeah, that's the whole construction. So I started with 26 inches, but it grew an inch, so you might want to keep that in mind when you're doing your foundation chain too. And it's quite easy. I'm doing 8 rows of this pattern, I don't know its name, and then 4 rows of double crochet, 4 rows, 8 rows of this other pattern, 4 rows of double crochet. So to start the pattern, I'm going to be doing it on a small sample. All right, so I already gave you the construction, you already have your measurements, you know how much you need to chain. And yeah, we are going to start with a foundation chain, which is an odd number of chains. So it's your back shoulder measurements plus 10, or you can do plus 8 plus 5, depends on how big you want your fitting to be. Okay, so it should be an odd number. I don't know, I assume everyone knows odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, you know, those numbers you cannot divide by 2 and still get a 0 or whatever. Anyway, an odd number, and once you have the length of your chain that you want, then you're going to add 2 chains, which is the turning chain. Okay, so you're going to add 2 chains, which is the turning chain, and then we're going to start on our row 1. So you skip the first 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain you're going to make a double crochet. And don't mind my mistake, I skipped 3 instead of 2, so you only skip 2, and then you're going to go into every chain, remaining chain, and make double crochets in those chains. So I will see you once you have your row 1, which is a double crochet row. So once you have your double crochet row, it should look like this, and then we are going to start on a stitch. And the stitch is quite simple. It starts with a single crochet and ends with a single crochet. So you're going to chain 2, and then in that very first stitch, chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So in that very first stitch, you're going to make a single crochet, right? And then you're going to yarn over twice and make a treble in the next stitch. And I'm working in both loops. So we have 4 loops on the hook, pull through 2, you have 3 remaining, pull through 2, you have 2 remaining, and then pull through 2. Okay, that's a treble. So it's a single crochet and a treble. And now the next stitch is a single crochet, right? And then the next stitch, you see the bump it leaves behind. So next stitch is yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Then single crochet into the next stitch. So it's simple as that. It's single crochet and then treble, single crochet, treble, single crochet, treble in both loops. Okay, and you are going to do this until you get to the end of your row. So the small bumps are at the back. When you're working your work, they go to the back. And they are on both sides, by the way, because when we get to the end of the row and we start the next row, now they come to this other side. So yeah. All right, I'll see you at the end. So coming to the end of the row, of the second row, and I have 2 stitches left, so I will have my treble, and then your last stitch should be a single crochet stitch. All right, so on top of this previous double crochet, that's where we put the single crochet stitch, and then you're going to chain 2 as your turning chain, and it's just going to be a repeat of row 2. So in this very first stitch, it's a single crochet, and then in the next stitch you yarn over twice, it's a treble crochet into that next stitch, and then single crochet in the very next, treble crochet in the next stitch, and you're going to repeat this. I did a total of 8 rows. Okay, then I'm going to come back to you once I have 8 rows of this stitch pattern. So I did my 8 rows of this stitch pattern, and in total I have 9 rows, but you can switch it up. I only did 8, which means I have 4 of these little things on each side. You can change this up. You can do 10, you can do less, or you can do without if you like. So now the next is going to be my double crochet rows pattern, which is a total of 4 rows. So for this you'll just continue chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, turn your work, and then you're going to work double crochets in every row, including, in every stitch, including this first stitch here. So into this first stitch, a double crochet, next stitch, double crochet into every stitch, all right. So double crochet across. I'll meet you at the end. See, this is my back panel, and so I did 4 times this stitch pattern, and then 4 times the double crochet rows. So once I was done with that, I just went on and did double crochets all the way until I had the length that I wanted. Okay, so you can make this short, you can make it long, you can also adjust these stitch patterns if you don't like how I made it. Maybe you want to do without the double crochets in the middle, or you want to do away with this other stitch. Depends on what you like, really. So I'll see you once you're done with your double crochet, your back panel. Then we can do this front panels and then the sleeves. So I already have my front panels. If you go back to how we did the calculation, you know how we came up with the front panels. So it's the same pattern, just 5 inches less, which is the neckline. Our neckline is 5 inches, right? So we are going to join these panels here and over there to the back panel, from the end towards the neckline, or neckline towards the end. And once you have them sewed together, they should look something like this. Right, so this is my sleeve. I already did one, but I want to show you how the whole construction is. So I start here with my foundation chain, which is measuring around the biceps, and then add 4 inches to that. Okay, so that would be our foundation chain. And then I made 1 2 3 4 5 rows, and then the 6th row I made a decrease, and then 1 2 3 4 5, and then the 6th row I make a decrease at the beginning and the end by double crocheting 2 together, right? So every 6th row I make a decrease. Okay, and I did this pattern at the end. I did 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, so which means 20 rows of this pattern at the end. So you can just adjust the way you like. I also still made decreases in here, so once our sleeve is folded, it looks something like this. So it's not so much, you know, decrease like so much small, but you can change that. Instead of decreasing after every 5 rows, you can decrease after every, I don't know, 4 rows maybe, if you like, or you can just make it straight. Depends, you just have to adjust as you wish. All right, so let's start on this foundation chain for the sleeve. So you chain until you have the circumference for your biceps plus 4 inches, okay? And then I'll meet you. So my foundation chain is done, and I have 14 inches because my arm circumference is 10 inches. My upper arm circumference is 10 inches plus 4 inches, which makes it 14. And this is an odd number, so I have 69 chains. So we are going to now do the turning chain. So 69, I add 2 chains for the turning chain, and then yarn over, and we're going to skip those 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain make a double crochet. For the sleeves, I'm going to be working in this chain, the 3rd chain at the back, so that I'm able to attach them to my cardigan easily with when these 2 loops are at the bottom. So I'm going into the 3rd loop, the loop at the back, and making double crochets in every back chain there. All right, so do that until the end of your chain. So here we are, done with the first row, and for the second row you're going to chain 2, turn your work, and yarn over. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, which means we are going to put our first double crochet in this very first stitch here. So you're going to work double crochets in every stitch until you get to the end of the row, and I'll come show you how to finish that off. Of course you already know, but you know, just to show you one more time. So coming to the end, and this is going to be our last stitch here on top of this last double crochet, because we don't count the chain 2, so don't work on top of that chain. Instead, put your last stitch on top of that double crochet. All right, and then we are done. Then you chain 2 and repeat. So we're going to do this for 5 rows, depends on how you want to make your reductions. I'm doing after every 5 rows. You can do after every 4 rows if you want it slimmer, so that is up to you. I'm done with my 5 rows, and now we're going to go and make a reduction at the beginning and at the end of the row, of the 6th row. So we chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to make 2 together. So I go into this first stitch, I yarn over and pull through 2, incomplete, yarn over again, going to the second stitch. So I have 4 loops now, yarn over, pull through 2, I have 3 loops remaining, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So I've crocheted these 2 together into one, and that's our decrease. So in the next stitches, just make double crochets in every stitch until you have 2 stitches remaining at the end, and I'll come show you how to reduce that too. The end of my 6th row, and I have 2 stitches left, so we are going to make a decrease, which means I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, I have 2 remaining, yarn over again, going to the last stitch. I have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, I have 3 remaining, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is our decrease. And then 7th row, we are just going to repeat the next 5 rows, will be just double crochet rows, and then on the 6th row make a decrease again. So this is going to be our very first stitch, and you're going to make double crochets in every stitch until you get to the end. And you should have, once you get to the end, you should have 2 stitches less than what the number of double crochets you started with. So for this row I started with 69. For this 7th row I will have 67 stitches. So yeah, and you're going to just repeat this until you get to the part where you want to put this other stitch pattern. So I did, for example, I did 12 inches of the double crochet pattern, and then this other pattern I did until I had 17 inches. So that was 5 inches of this other pattern. So, and then once you're done with that, then we'll come and join everything together. Here we have the sleeve, and I just reduced after every 5 rows. So every 6th row I was making a reduction, and once I got here I went back to our pattern, but I was still also making reductions. So let's see, before the pattern I did 12 inches and then started on the pattern, and my overall is about 17 and a half inches long. So when you get here to this part and start to make reductions. Of course, when you reduce one on one side and one on the other side, then you are going to start with 2 single crochets, okay, and then the pattern. At some point it will go back. When you make another reduction, it will go back to single crochet and then this treble, but then at some point here it will also go back to being 2 single crochets, because when you put a single crochet and a treble together, when you make a reduction, then it will start with 2 single crochets. You will see that. So yeah, do that once you have your sleeve done, and then you do the other sleeve, and then we are going to attach everything together. Once you have the 2 sleeves, lay out them like this on the sides of the cardigan, making sure the middle part of your sleeve is in line with where we joined our 2 panels. And then you're going to sew the sleeves first onto the 2 panels like that, both sides. And once you have that, then you will fold your cardigan and then sew the sides. And once you've sewed the sides, then you should have everything ready for the ribbing. So we are now going to work on this ribbing, and it's worked separately. I attached it way later. As you can see, it looks more like a knit stitch. So this is the right side, and this is how the wrong side looks like. But I was working this for a very long time. I was tired in the night, and then I got somewhere here and I messed up the rows. So you see, I didn't notice until the next day, and I didn't want to undo it. So this somehow I did this the wrong side, and yeah, but yeah, you don't see it when you're far. So anyway, let's get into this is how we make our knit looking like ribbing, and it's going to be composed of 1 half double crochet row and 3 double slip stitch rows. Okay, so we are going to start with a slip knot and then make chains, and for this I'm going to make 17 chains because I want 15 double crochets, half double crochets, sorry. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17. So I have my 17 as my foundation chain, and we are going to start on the half double crochet row. So skip the first 2, and I'm going to be working in this back loop here. So skip the first 2, and into the third you're going to make a half double crochet. So you now pull through all, and going to the second loop, make a half double crochet, going to the third, make a half double crochet, and I'm going to make half double crochets all the way to the end. I should have 15 in the end. Got my 15 double crochets, and now we're going to go to row 2, which is a slip stitch row worked in the back loop only. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and we are going to be working only in the back loop. So you see the 2 loops here, we are going to be working only in the back. So this is the turning chain, you don't work in that. So I'll go strictly to this as a first stitch, and then work a slip stitch, and please keep them loose, because working in a slip stitch when it's too tight is like impossible. And if that's something you're not able to do, then grab a bigger hook. For example, this is bigger, and then use that for the slip stitch rows. So I'll see you at the end. I've worked 14 so far, and the last one, which is my last, the 15th, we are going to work it in both loops. So I go into both of the loops and work that last slip stitch there. So next is a slip stitch row, because we're working 3 rows of slip stitch. So chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to do the same. So skip the chain 1 turning chain, and in the back loop only you're going to work slip stitches. That's 3, 4, 5 until the end. Once you have 14, then I'll come so that we do the last one. So I have 14 so far, and this last one is worked in both loops, so that's what I will do, and that's my 15th. And then repeat again in the back loop only, slip stitch in every stitch until the last one, which will work in both loops. Only in the back loop. And then the 15th we work it in both loops. So that's our 4 rows, and now we are just going to repeat this pattern. So now it's going to be the half double crochet row, and it's always going to be on the right side. So this will be the wrong side, and then this will be the right side. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and then you're going to yarn over, and in the back loop of that very first stitch you're going to make half double crochet, and then half double crochet in every back loop until you get to the end. And in the end we put a half double crochet into 2 loops in that very last stitch. In the 2 loops, and then repeat 3 rows of slip stitch. So I did my 3 rows of slip stitch, and that's the last one. As you can see, it starts to form. So this is the wrong side, and now you chain 2 because we want to start on the half double crochet, which is on the right side, and you can see that this ribbing is kind of nice. So only in the back loop, finish off your half double crochet row with working a half double crochet in the 2 loops, then chain 1, turn, and we start again with the slip stitches. So basically this is how you do it. It's just a repeat of 1 row of half double crochet in the back loop, and then 3 rows of slip stitch in the back loop. Rows of that half double crochet are on the right side. Just in case you lose count, you need to know that. And we are always ending with the stitches in 2 loops at the end. So that's the pattern. This is my ribbing. It's very long. I think it's about 93 inches long, and this right here is the right side and this is the wrong side. So we're going to be working on the right side. So now we're going to attach it to the cardigan, the right side of my cardigan. This is here is my wrong side. So now we want to attach the right side, but I want to start with this row that is the foundation row that we did, so that in case it is too short, too long, you are able to unravel or add more rows on the other side when you're sewing. It could be you get to the other side and it's short or long and you need to make some adjustments. So it's better that we start with this row and you're able to make adjustments on the other side, which is at the end of the ribbing. So I'm going to use my darning needle and I will put this like this here, and then attach my darning needle, my yarn, to both stitches. These are my foundation chains. and I will secure it by tying a knot. Okay, and then we're just going to sew the cardigan to the ribbing. So I'll just go in. Maybe it would have been better if so you're just going to simply continue sewing this evenly all until the neckline, and once you're at the neckline, continue the same along the neckline and then go back down to the other side, and I will see you when it is all done. So my ribbing is all done. I sewed all of it on there. It was enough for me. I didn't have to add more rows or reduce any rows. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. I love it. It's a bigger size for me, but I still like it. The written pattern is on my Etsy shop if you like to have the written version, and on my other online shops. I'll leave the links in the description box as well as in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, share, comment, and I will see you in the next tutorial. So thank you and have a good day.